have a really cool guest, Joe Invers. He's my co-host for today, and we wanted to talk about innovation, but innovation a bit in the widest sense. Before we start, Joe, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on wherever you are. My background mainly is fully technological, so I'm an engineer. I have more than 36 years, as far as I remember, working on R&D departments and teams, designing, developing products, mainly based on electronics, but also integrating a lot of technologies like mechanics and, and different combinations of technologies. Always trying to look for following the state of the art, to learn, trying to be always on the front of the technology, and just try to solve challenges. So that's the point. Challenge yourself, learn, and of course, growth. Have a good growth on your life, on your professional life, and of course on your personal life. And sometimes this has led to to change from one place to another, so from one company to another. But always trying to find this innovation, this kind of point that could help you to be different, to go a step further, and of course, not being stuck always on the same things. So, if I had to define myself, I would say that I am a senior leader that try to help you companies to build business strategies by creating value through the design of new products. So that would be perhaps just a small summary of myself.
Cool, cool. Well, it's actually quite interesting because if I look at your profile on LinkedIn, everything is around innovation, but everything's also around change. How do you improve yourself on a day-to-day basis? How do you keep that focus on continuous improvement and keeping in touch on all the new technologies there are?
Well, I think the base is not lose the passion for learning. Be humble. As much as you learn, you discover more things that you don't know. So at the end, I think that every day you have to learn something, and of course, try to be honest, try to be also critical, learn from your mistakes, of course, understand the others, try to help other people. Um, Work on team, so it's not a question of work yourself and just last a solitary man or woman, but try to build a team, and of course be courageous to help changing things, and above all, try to improve yourself and try to help to improve the others, and go out of your comfort zone. Um, I understand that sometimes we need some kind of peace. Of course, we need it. Calm, it's sometimes uh, something you need. Sorry, but at the end, you have to go for a new challenge. Try to challenge yourself and keep trying it. Sometimes things are difficult, a lot of times, but you have to be continuous, keep trying to improve, and of course, value also yourself. Uh, do not let be put you in a corner. We all need a purpose and some recognition, and of course, try to be just in this way, to be honest and try to go and continue running.
Yeah, I think that's interesting what you're saying because you're talking about be courageous. I hear a lot of the agile wording coming forward, but the challenge within organizations. I also work as a transformation lead, more transformation lead, not as innovation lead. And what I notice is that a lot of companies are saying we don't want to innovate, we want to grow, we want to be creative, but they struggle because changing that mindset to be more innovative means you have to also change the dynamics of your organization. and your team. What is your take on that? What could organizations do when they are, let's say, not so innovative, more established organizations, and they want to drive in innovation on the longer term?
Well, it's not easy really, because every company has a strong day-to-day. I mean that you have to fulfill all your objectives. So you need to justify figures, numbers, and it's not easy. And at the end, sometimes it's difficult to go on a step further. But at the end, your company, really, any company, has to go at least half a step forward the customers. Because if you are not following this rule, you will not know how, but one day your customer will show you what you have to do. And at the moment, you will be out of the market. So um, innovation is necessary, because if not, you will be stuck on the market. And in an area of knowledge, um, you have to learn and you have to go improving and innovating every day. So you have to be courageous to try to to make some kind of a stop, think more of what you are doing today. Um, Look for help if you have no clear things what to do. But sometimes, if you don't have time, that's enough. You have probably to create something in parallel that could lead this change. Sometimes we call about the the figure of the role of CIO, of Chief Innovation Officer. This kind of role could be a help. Creating this role, you could put a leader for try to do these changes. But at the end, innovation is a culture. You have to help all the company, all the different departments. I think the general management has to champion all these changes. And the most important point is uh, really to have a strategy for that. So you have to have clear in mind that you want to do this, look for help, and then try to organize the company just to avoid that the same objectives of the day to day could avoid that you could have a change for the other for the medium or long term objectives.
Yeah, but I think you're touching on something really important, that you're mentioning general management needs to sponsor it. Okay, that's okay that they sponsor it, but do they also, what I've seen in the past, and maybe it's a common thing, maybe it's not. I'm not part of innovation. Is that um, we talk about innovation, we talk about new concepts and ideas, we put it on the agenda because it's one of the parts of building our 5, 6, 7% growth of the company. But then we lose focus, or we retract money because innovation doesn't pay off on day one. It's for me, it's a long-term investment. So how do we get, for instance, executives where a lot of them are not with an innovative mindset? They may be really good in leading an organization, but leading an organization or leading innovation are two different things. You mentioned CIO. Yeah, could be. What are alternatives do we have to make sure that from an innovation team perspective, this innovation part is on a high importance level on executive level, and that they keep investing, they keep believing? What can you do as organization to keep that motivation up and running?
Well, it's not easy to change the culture of a company, but of course, innovation, it's not only a question of general management; it's a question of all the different departments on the company. But I think that a, a company, and especially the medium and small companies, cannot avoid the short-term innovation, perhaps what is called the red ocean innovation. I mean, you are on a really in some kind of competitive world, some kind of world that you have to manage every day, and you have to continue making small improvements to advance. But at the end, uh, you have to be clear that, and you have to have clear in mind, sorry, that at the end, if you are building, or you have an old tree, you will have some kind of fruits, some kind of results. But at the end, this old tree should have younger ones, because when the old tree could die, then you will have a new option. So the first thing is have clear this. So you have to look for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years in the future. I think that perhaps one important question to answer is, what will I sell in 5 years' time? So this means that in that case, I think it's something that perhaps nobody knows. So it's a question to try to create this strategy, to be open-minded, not be so close because of the day of the day. I know that this is something theoretical, but at the end, you have to put your mind on the future. Try to see what or where will you be on 5 years' time. So this is the
That's
first
almost
point. And
impossible,
then
eh? It's almost impossible, eh?
it's not so difficult. It's not so difficult because
Is it?
at the end you know what your competitors are doing. You can find so what is on the market. You need help to find what the other companies are trying to do. But at the end, you will need also to create a small structure to help you to do that. So you need some kind of skills that are not usually in operational teams only. So operations is something connected with the day-to-day. And of course, innovation, it's something that it's more connected with creativity and open-minded, but at the same time, you have to put also objectives and numbers. So you have to create a metrics for that. So it's not something on the cloud, it's something that's real. So you have to create probably begin with small projects that could help you to have this structure created, and at the same time, create this small structure. So step by step, try to create a small core, probably a small core put in parallel in your organization. Of course, connected with your main creative departments. You will need them. You will need their knowledge. You will this small new core will have to help them to try to understand this this new culture. But at the same time, try to do small things, small projects to begin to work with this structure. Define some investigative, some kind of research projects, small ones if you want, and try to connect also with ecosystems more at the side of perhaps sometimes not in a enterprise environment, but for example for technological centers, universities, people that they have their minds in another kind of they have other skills, they have other way of looking things. So try to connect with these ecosystems, try to understand them, trying to look also other technologies, not always the same technologies you have. At the end, companies like Apple has had a lot of success combining different solutions, try to find different products. So sometimes the success is in this kind of combination of combining things. So try to develop the concept of open innovation, connect with external ecosystems, connect with, look for partnerships. And to do that, to do this, you will usually have to create a small department or small structure that could work on that. Because if not, the CEO probably will not have time. The main managers of the main departments will not have time. All the people on the day-to-day have their time really full of things to do. So it's something you have to change your mind and put it in another place. Of course, connect it. Of course, manage with something um, real. Put metrics on that, but try to connect with other
No.
ecosystems.
Well, I like the connection with other ecosystems. I work a lot with Salesforce.com.
Mhm.
Salesforce is what I think is one of the better CRMs available globally. But I think the majority of the success has come because they have the Salesforce App Exchange and the volume of organizations partnering with them using that ecosystem to build custom works on top of their ecosystem is really amazing. It's really amazing. I always say to organizations who come to me, I had one last week. Rahim, I've got a beautiful tool. Maybe you can offer that to your clients. But effectively, if it's not integrated for me with the Salesforce ecosystem, it's actually pointless. If I look at the set of clients I have now, not all organizations are technology organizations.
Mhm.
Most organizations I work with are technology organizations, but there are also a lot of other different types of organizations. You've worked in telecoms, I've seen. You've even been a teacher in a technical university. If you look at that drive for innovation, and if you have clients coming to you, what are the main questions they have for you? If they look at, we want to innovate, they come to Joel. Why do they come to you, and what are the questions do they have?
Well, when we are talking today about innovation, we are perhaps the first thing is thinking about technology, about digital technologies, and so on. But I think the first step is understand the business of the company. Um, you can innovate not only on technological, uh, digital technologies, telecommunication, and so on. Perhaps you can innovate in materials, depending on the kind of company. A good change may be innovate in the way they manufacture things. Perhaps why not change the manufacturing processes and use, for example, plastic additive manufacturing or something like that. So sometimes it's not innovate for innovating. You have to focus on what you are doing on your business, understand where you are going to go, what are you doing first, and where are you going to go, and then try to define what are uh, the main activities, and the main knowledges of the company, and what could be improved and could be powered by other technologies. So um, every company is different. Every company has their own um, um, strong points, and so it's not something like that. But the first thing is try to understand the business and work with management, understanding what they are doing, what they could do, and then perhaps look for new solutions. Maybe manufacturing solutions, maybe designing solutions. That will depend. So in fact, it's begin a new project for each company.
Mm-hmm.
It's a kind of consultancy or not, depending on the way you are trying to to define. But um, there's no just. We will not do the same for every company. It's not easy for that. It's not a
No,
way.
I think that's logical depending on what company you are. What you're actually telling, okay, if you're a company, look at the future, look at where you want to go or where you're going, look at your competition, and then start off small with some agile projects to test and learn and build out the capability so you actually can transform towards actually delivering an innovation or a culture of
Hmm.
innovation. Well, we started actually with the culture of innovation. You said it's not easy. I know personally that transformation and change and
Hmm.
changing the culture of an organization is something which is a quite dynamic and complex approach, especially when your organization is not ready for it yet or doesn't have that secret sauce. You mentioned working with universities. You mentioned working with outside parties. What is your experience with working with universities and how you could enable them to support that drive of doing new things within organizations? Not many organizations do that. At certain stages, I see SaaS or at least the startups, they do it a lot for two reasons. One is cheap labor, and the second one is they have that innovation mindset, that drive. So that's really cool. If you would come within an organization and they would like to work with universities, because you also work with universities, what would be your suggestion on how they approach that?
I think that in the universities there is huge knowledge in a lot of technologies, but the company that could go to contact with universities, they have to put a challenge over the table, okay? But a clear and easy or difficult, it doesn't mind, something clear that then the people on a technological center or in a university could try to help and could try to put new solutions on the table also. But I think it's not. I think that the success of this kind of collaboration is something that should be controlled and managed by the company, and try to focus really what is necessary. Okay, and then that will be easy to learn from both sides. So university will have to learn what the company is doing and what the company is looking for. And at the same time, the company has to understand what the university is able to offer, how they work, and really what they are able to give you as a result. Because it's not a miracle. It's not something magical. University is if all the things are clear and all were defined, then it's possible to have a good result. If not, if the company is just putting some definitions, some specifications over the table, and then is looking for having a result directly from the university, it will probably
That
not
will never
work.
work.
So both parts have to work together as a partners and continuous working continuously, having continuous follow-ups and so on. And of course, iterate and change the points of the project or of the solutions. But we have to take into consideration that the small companies, especially, their main objective is try to go to the market, battle in this red ocean, sell, and try to have the money for they sell. So this is something that it's very important, and at the end they need a lot of time to do that. So these kind of companies will need some kind of technological transfer from technological centers. Without this transfer, it will be difficult to innovate sometimes. So someone on the company, on any company, or in a group of companies, or in a group of multinational or not, should try to make this connection with this kind of ecosystems. University is one of them, because you can transfer some knowledge, but not all the knowledge is good for any company. So it's something that's necessary to select, to work on that. Well, it's not easy. If I should, if I had to work on a city, I would like to understand what the company is doing, and I would like to understand what the company is looking for, because sometimes I have lived that. The company is thinking on some kind of abstract idea. This abstract idea has to be understood, and then go and put it in a real plane. So it's something to be pragmatical, and at the same time to be clear, to define the things good. But of course, not avoid try to put a real challenge on the table. So not something to have a cheap labor for you.
Yeah.
That's not the point. So to be honest and try to put a real challenge for every part.
Yeah, I think the challenge part is going to be really important for organizations to really work on a more challenging way of thinking about the future. You were talking about the red ocean strategy, but basically that's fishing in your own market and fishing in the market of your competitors. Innovation is generally, from my perspective, used in a blue ocean strategy to figure out where can we do something new, dynamic, creative to win a new market and to grow our business. So uh, if you look at the red ocean, like you covered just now, if we go towards the blue ocean, just purely blue ocean strategy, what what can we do to help leadership understand the capabilities of possible blue oceans where they are going or wanting to invest?
I think that at the end, uh, it's a question of results. That's the real thing. Without results, without money, profits, and so on, there will not be any kind of innovation and no kind of investment. So, but we have to be careful about that, because if you are looking for a return over investment quick, sure, and so on, you will never do probably a blue innovation on your company. So the question is that it's the same case as if you are trying to invest in stock change.
Mm-hmm.
You know that people know that there are companies that has small risk, medium risk, high risk. If you invest on bitcoins, probably you will have a big risk, but it's supposed that some years ago it was more risky, but now you are seeing that you have a biggest return. So there are two main points. Today, innovate is something essential to survive in the red ocean, the future red oceans. So you should try to make this to be on this step further, to offer your
Mm-hmm.
customers something different they are looking for now, because then this will be the future. But half a step further, one step forward will be okay, not 20, because 20 steps forward perhaps is the death of your company. So you have to balance that. Um, blue innovation. Uh, that that means that if you are looking for this step forward,
Mm-hmm.
does not mean to be a very disruptive innovation, because this is something very difficult to find. Um, a few people find this, but the question is try to find to have in mind the clear idea that blue innovation will give you uh, not only not only help you to survive, but at the same time will give you more quality, more profits, and you will be more um, better position in your market. So that's the real thing.
Well, I think that innovation, if I look at past experiences and also what I've been reading lately around innovation, most organizations, especially the startups, they are able to gather a lot of investment into their innovations, even when it's still nothing. It's still a simple box. It doesn't do that much, but it's that innovation which actually enables organizations to get that external cash in to really invest in growth of organizations. So I think one thing maybe to add on this one is that innovation doesn't always have to come from your own money, from your own
Mm-hmm.
pot of money. If you're a servicing client, you have to run the business. But innovation can also be a driver for new investment and new growth. And that's basically the takeaway I'm going to take from this session. If people, for instance, want to work with you, if they have questions around innovation, how do they contact you?
Well, um, I think the best way would be my LinkedIn profile, and I think it's public. You can look for Joel Invers, and you will find me there.
Cool.